Hello, fans, and welcome to this week's edition of the Tiger Women's Basketball Report. I'm your host, Ben Rosenbaum. Towson making the quick trip to Catonsville to take on the UMBC Retrievers the other night, and they come home with a win. I'm joined by the head coach of the Tigers, Laura Harper, and Coach, it's nothing like beating local opponents.
For sure. It's nothing like winning, but definitely crosstown definitely makes it sweeter.
So Tigers took a very early lead. Zoli Khalil hitting a three to open up scoring, and then UMBC took control of the game. You didn't retake the lead until early in the fourth, where Zoli Khalil hits another three. Just talk about the team's fight, and they didn't give up. They just kept slugging away, and even when it seemed like calls might be going against us and this, that, and the other, they kept playing hard.
Of course, I tell them all the time, on the road you have to be 10 points better, and just continuing to try to instill confidence despite we were missing some easy layups. Things just weren't necessarily going our way, but just proud of the resilience of this group.
Yeah, it was at times early on, especially second quarter, early third quarter, teams seemed a little out of sync, more turnovers than we're used to seeing from some of the guards, some missed shots at the rim. What was the message at halftime? What did you say? Because the game was still well within reach, but it just seemed like UMBC kind of had the momentum in their corner at that point.
I was disappointed with things that were within our control, like our rebounding. I felt like we went to our zone a little bit and we were matching up, covering well, just couldn't secure rebounds. That's my thing. So I'm going to lose my mind about that. I think we talked about that. And knowing that our third quarter, we're a good second half team. So just to still have confidence in what we bring.
Yeah, you mentioned the rebounds. UMBC 18 offensive boards. I know I was sitting right next to the bench, and I knew that was driving you and the staff nuts at that point. I heard multiple assistants talk about securing the ball, but you guys did a good job limiting second chance points off of those 18 rebounds. So, what's the fix there on the defensive glass for you? But also defensively, you didn't break. You only bent a little bit.
For sure. We've been really focusing on staying vertical, defending without fouling, and just trying to secure the ball the best that we can. And I think, Kayla's done better with that, obviously, with her blocks, and Hannah, too, just really showing her hands has been helpful for us.
All right, let's talk about the good. 4 Tigers in double digits, led by Zoli Khalil, 16, India Johnson, 15, Tilly Shukvist with 14, and Talia Shepard with 10. Let's talk about Shukvist, because she had 3 points in the first half, disappeared, just could not score the ball, and then back-to-back threes at the end of the third quarter, and that's when I think everyone in the arena felt momentum slide Towson's way. I mean, those were 2 huge shots from the transfer.
Yeah, Tilly is just such a special guard for us, and we knew that once she saw one in, it would flow, no different than like the Coppin game. She loves those moments. She loves the second half, and like a truly amazing veteran point guard, just leads her team when needed.
And then, as we mentioned at the top of the show, Zoli Khalil hits a three with just about 8.5 minutes to go in the game. Towson never looks back. It felt like once your team really starts going downhill, it's a big, as you know, I guess the saying, it's a big vibes are high.
Yeah.
And it seems like you guys all just feed and off of that each other, and everyone's just kind of making it work. It seemed like nobody was making a bad decision late in the game.
Absolutely. Eric talks to them a lot about paint touches and just really trusting our decisions. We're good passers, we're good shooters, we're good players, and just knowing that if we get a piece of the paint and attack them, we're going to get really good opportunities for us.
We touched on this last show, and she did more of it last night. Kayla Morris, 4 blocks last night. She's 3.67 blocks per game. She's tied second overall in the country. Obviously, she's tall, big wingspan, but IQ-wise, she really times it well.
She does, especially when she's a weak side defender. I mean, she meets him at the height of the shot, which is amazing. And again, she came into Towson top 10 in the nation, so nothing new here, but just gets us going, gets us exciting, and really anchors our defense.
All right, so no rest for the weary. We've got more basketball to play, starting off Wednesday at 2 o'clock against the Georgetown Hoyas. They're 3-2 entering play. When they win their games, they win big. When they lose, they're in tough ones, or they lose them, it's hard to get a read on them. There are outscoring opponents by 16 points, or averaging about 16 points on the scoring margin. What do you see when you look at the Hoyas?
Man, Georgetown is a really well-coached, well-oiled machine, a lot of pressure. They play about 9 players, significant minutes. Their losses are notably to Maryland and George Mason, which they were winning both of those games. So we know it's going to be a dogfight, and we know we're going to have to bring a high level of defensive intensity.
You talked how they play a lot. Kaya Miller leads the Georgetown Hoyas, only player scoring in double digits or averaging double digits, but they have a ton, if you look at the stats, flirting with double digits. So it's kind of like Towson, where a lot of different weapons can pop out at any time and score. How do you prepare for a team that really you don't know where it might come from?
I think we just have to go back to our defensive principles. There's a few that are significant shooters. So just knowing and identifying those and making sure our closeouts are proper to personnel.
So after Georgetown Sunday, former CAA team, Delaware in Newark. But in the midst of all of this is the holidays and Thanksgiving. How do you keep them focused in the middle of this road stretch? And they're thinking about the holidays, and you have Delaware on the other side of it. What's the focus here, and how do you kind of keep the chemistry high and the camaraderie high?
Pray. No, seriously, I think it's just making the game into small games and small segments, maintaining just the good and keeping them really focused on 5 minutes at a time.
What's the biggest thing you've learned so far from this team as you've now played a handful of games? You've gotten wins, you've had losses, but what's the biggest thing you've learned that maybe you and the staff were like, hey, we didn't realize this about this team?
I just think their resilience and their camaraderie were never out of the game because of how much they believe in themselves. I know I believe in them wholeheartedly, and it's cool to see them rally behind each other. And Zoli and Tilly and Indy and Talia, and all of them can just come on any given day and just rally.
All right, Coach, thanks for joining us. Good luck in Georgetown. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in Newark on Sunday.
Thank you so much.
All right. That'll do it for us today on the Tiger Women's Basketball Report. For Laura Harper, I'm Ben Rosenbaum. Thanks for joining us, and as always, go Tigers.
Go Tigers.